Welcome one and all, I'm Alexis, aka The Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do my March book haul. So I bought a lot of books in the month of March, which I was expecting to because most of these were either March releases or were February releases I didn't pick up in February. So I can't say I'm surprised in the least, but I'll go ahead and get into it because there's quite a few of them. The first three I'm going to mention I actually bought in February and just totally forgot to haul them in February. So I figured I'll go ahead and haul them now. The first of which is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. This is The Dark Prophecy. And the next two are books 2 and 3 in the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan, The Hammer of Thor and The Ship of the Dead. Obviously I want to read and complete both of those series this year, or catch up in the case of the Trials of Apollo, so I went ahead and picked up the next books that were available. The next two books I picked were actually both March picks for Book of the Month, but I really wanted both of them, so I went ahead and got both of them. The first one is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Panda, and this follows our main character Lee, whose mother has recently committed suicide. And Lee believes that her mother has turned into a bird, and she goes to Taiwan, where her family is from, in search of her mother. And along the way she discovers a culture she really didn't know much about, and she also meets her grandparents, and she kind of really just goes on this path of self-discovery, but also as she's trying to figure out, why her mother committed suicide, and, searching for her mother as a bird. The next one is Rain Birds by Clarissa Goenawan, and this follows our main character Ren, who lives outside of Tokyo, and he gets word that his sister has recently died, and he goes to his sister's village to try and figure out what happened to his sister, and along the way I believe he really inserts himself into her life, like he takes up her old job. He kind of gets to know her friends and the community as he's trying to figure out what happens. I believe I've heard from other people that this book really isn't a thriller. It's more of an exploration of Ren, like getting to know his sister via this village after she's already passed away. But I've been really eager and anticipating this book's release, so when I saw it come up for Book of the Month, I had to pick it up. The next book I picked up was American Panda by Gloria Chow, and this follows our main character May, who's Taiwanese American, and she's in her freshman year at MIT, and she's basically struggling with her parents' expectations for her. Her parents want her to marry a Taiwanese boy, they want her to go to medical school, and all the while May is actually really germophobic. So she has no intention of going to medical school, but she's also trying to figure out the best way to please her parents and also please herself. And she also starts to have a crush on a boy who I believe is Japanese and not Taiwanese, and so she's struggling with that, and she recently reconnects with her brother who's estranged from the family, and it kind of allows her to think about life beyond her family expectations. I know people who've absolutely loved this book, and it just sounds so good, and I'm here for the rep for it as well. And also look at the little dumplings. That's cute. That is so cute. The next book I picked up in March was The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw, which, oh my gosh guys, this cover is so pretty. Like, and even more pretty, wait for it. Oh my god, look at it. It's so pretty. So I'm so excited to have this one. This basically follows a town where 200 years in the past, 3 sisters were convicted of being witches and they were killed. And so every summer these witches actually come back and possess 3 girls living in the town, and they like seek vengeance on the town for killing them. And it follows our main character Penny, who has lived her whole life in this town, and so she knows kind of what's going to happen this summer. But she kind of gets involved with a boy who's recently new to the town who has no idea what's going on. And so the two of them kind of team up to try and solve the mystery, maybe let the sisters rest. But yeah, I love it. I'm here for a witch book. That sounds really super cool, so I'm excited to pick this one up. The next one is another one I have already read, and that is Bygone Badass Broads, 52 Forgotten Women Who Changed the World by Mackenzie Lee. And this is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a collection of stories of 52 women throughout history from all over the world who aren't widely taught. So that's super cool. Before reading this, I knew about 10 to 15 of the women in here. I didn't exactly count. So it was really awesome to be able to see like all of the stories of these women, who aren't widely known about. So that was really, really cool. And then it's all illustrated by Petra Eriksson. And I'll show you guys my favorite illustration is this one, because I just think that looks so fierce. So I did pick this up this month. The next one I picked up this month is like the hit YA book at the moment, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. And this is an African-inspired fantasy that follows our main character, Zelly, who lives in a world where magic has been destroyed and people who practice magic have been hunted down and killed. And so she teams up with a rogue princess to take down this ruthless king and his government and to help restore magic to the land. And it sounds so freaking cool. And every person I know who has read it has absolutely loved it so far. And I did get the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition, which comes with the red hardback rather than the traditional black. And oh my god, I love this. This was a good choice on my part, if I'm being honest. And it, you know, they've got the map on the inside, and it also comes, the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition comes with a chapter that is actually annotated, and it also comes with a map poster, I believe. So I did pick this up, and I'm very excited, and just to let you guys know, I'm probably planning to read this one in May, because I'm very excited to read this one. The next one I'm going to mention is All Out, the No Longer Secret Histories of Queer Teens Throughout the Ages by Sandra Mitchell. And this is an anthology written by a whole bunch of really awesome authors. Dahlia Adler, Sarah Farazan, Tessa Gratton, Sean David Hutchinson, Cody Keplinger, Mackenzie Lee, Melinda Lowe, Nyla Magruder, Anna Marie McLemore, Teller K. Magia, Natalie C. Parker, Alex Sanchez, Kate Skelsa, Tess Sharp, Robin Talley, Scott Tracy, and Elliot Wake. And it's basically like historical fiction stories about queer teens, and I believe that some of them are about real figures and some of them are about like made up persons, but I'm very excited to read this. This was without a doubt one of my most anticipated releases for 2018, so I'm very excited to have it in my hands. I'm really excited. The next one I'm going to mention is Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles, and like, oh man, can we marvel at how beautiful this cover is? And this basically follows our main character Marvin, who goes to a party with his brother Tyler one night, and at this party shots ring out and Marvin runs, and the next morning he finds out that his brother Tyler is missing, and I believe a few days later it's discovered that Tyler is actually dead. And after his brother is found dead, a video is leaked online showing a police officer actually shooting and killing Tyler. And it's basically about Marvin, you know, struggling with that and the idea of justice and his relationship with police. And obviously this is a very topical book right now in America, and I'm just so excited to read this. Like, this was one of my most anticipated releases for 2018 as well. And it's not that big of a book, so I'm very excited to finally have this. The next one is another one of my most anticipated releases for 2018, and that is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is obviously the third and final book in the Illuminae Files series. Oh man, I'm like, I know I haven't read this yet. This is on my April TBR. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below so you can go check it out. But this is probably going to be the first thing I read in April because I'm so excited for it. I loved Illuminae. It was one of my favorite books the year I read it. Gemina, I still enjoyed, but it wasn't my favorite. So like, I'm very excited to see how everything wraps up in Obsidio, especially because everyone I know who's read it already has loved it. So I'm excited for this one. The next one I'm going to mention is Arusha, The End of Time by Roshani Chokshi, and this is the first book being published in the Rick Riordan Presents imprint, and this is Roshani Chokshi's first book in a middle grade series following our main character Arusha. And this basically follows our main character Arusha, who accidentally lights a lamp that unleashes like an evil demon on the world, and the only way that she can stop this demon and save her friends and her family is to find the reincarnations of the Pandava brothers from Hindu mythology. And so Aru basically goes on this journey to find these reincarnations, and this was pitched as Sailor Moon meets Indian mythology, and I have been waiting months for this. And of course it's got awesome rep because Roshani Chokshi wrote it, and it's about Indian mythology, and I'm like, oh my god, so excited. And the last book I bought in the month of March was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, and this is one that a lot of my friends have been reading and loving recently, especially Rami. Like, I told her I was buying this book and she freaked out on me because she was so excited. But Alice Oseman writes the online webcomic Heartstopper, which I do frequently read. I like always check when there are updates, and I really, really love it. And I know Radio Silence takes place in the same world as Heartstopper, and it features some of the characters from Heartstopper. This basically follows our main character Frances, who loves an online podcast, and she draws fan art for the podcast, and it also follows the character Aled, who actually is the persona behind the podcast. And they basically team up together to work on a project, and they become fast friends, and they kind of discover things about themselves and each other that brings them really, really close. And then trouble appears when Aled's online persona is revealed, and it's about, you know, them. But I've also heard this book deals heavily with like feeling lost in life and like not knowing what you want to do when you finish school, which is something that I think is so important to have in a YA book. So like that really drew me to this book as well. So I'm very excited to read this one. This is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like, I was expecting this book to be like, sure, maybe 350, 400 pages. This book is almost 500 pages, which is very large for a contemporary, but I'm very, very excited to read this. Alrighty guys, so those were all of the books I bought in the month of March. I would like to know what was your favorite book you bought in March, or if you have thoughts about any of the books I purchased, leave that down in the comments below. If you like what I do, upload videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye!